So meta. All right. First of all, it's really good to see you guys. And let me say that I know a lot of you, but I don't know all of you. And I'm really looking forward to like having real class like in person next year. I hope you are too. But what that also means is it's gonna be like back to normal business. And normal business for me, anybody can tell you that had me ninth grade year, is that there's no such thing as late homework. Okay, there's no such thing. Unless there's extenuating circumstances about you being absent or other things going on. But general, you didn't do your vocab, that's a 0. That's it. Okay. So we got to get back in a mindset of doing work when it's due for real classes. And I'm sure, other teachers are going to be tightening up too. But, we've really had a long leash with when we do our work this year, right? Some of us, like, whether we want to do that way or not, we're kind of obliged to do that, for better or for worse. So that is going to change. Okay. But let me just tell you a little bit of the difference between most if not all of you were in AP Lang, and while this has a similar structure as far as like what the test is like, instead of it being about nonfiction and your writing and arguments and things like that, this, as you probably know, is more about poetry, short fiction, and long fiction, including both novels and drama. Okay, so we're back to like what you're used to with most English classes, right? And there is no nonfiction at all. So what we're working toward, and what the test actually is it's the same in that there are 4 or 5 sections in which you get a piece and you have a bunch of multiple choices on them, and then you have 3 essays. But what it consists of this time is, say there's like 4 or 5 sections, and 2 of them will be a poem, and 3 of them will be prose. Prose just means not poetry, in case you've forgotten that, or the other way around. Okay? And somewhere around the neighborhood of a dozen questions on each piece, and you have to finish that in an hour, right? Pretty similar. And then you have 3 essay questions. One of them gives you a poem you've never seen before, and you have to write an essay about it based on a prompt. One of them gives you the opening of a novel or a piece of a short story, and you have to write an essay based on a prompt for that. And then we have what's called the open question, in which you have prepared for by reading 3, 4, 5 major works, 3 in my class, maybe some on your own, depends on whether you're a reader or not. And you have to answer a prompt based on a novel that you choose in your head that you have very much studied and made yourself very familiarized with. Okay, so that probably sounds kind of intimidating, but the less intimidating part about that is you don't have to read something on the spot in order to write the essay, and you don't have to quote the novel because obviously, they don't expect you to do that. So that's what the test is like. Does anybody have any like huge burning questions about anything else about that, like the content of the class and the test? The way that I did it this year, and I think I'm going to do it next year, is so there's 9. I'm real heavy on AP Classroom. Like I use it extensively, like throughout the year. Like I do their units. I started this year, and I think it went really well, and I think we're going to do that next year. So there'll be a short story unit, a poetry unit, and then a major works unit, which will be Hamlet, okay, long Shakespeare play. And that's good to read together. We all read it together. And then 4, 5, and 6 are another short story unit, another poetry unit, and another major works unit. And that will be a choice of like a half a dozen different novels. And you guys will be able to make your own groups based on which one sounds most interesting to you. And you can be with your friends in a group, and but hopefully you choose a book that you want to read too. Okay. And you'll have like little kind of seminars every 3 or 4 days as you keep your reading schedule and talk about it. Then 7, 8, 9 are another short story unit, another poetry unit, and the final major work, you absolutely choose yourself. You go get it. And there might be other people reading the same book if you want to, but it's like you on your own. And then you still have assignments that you turn into me, just kind of reflecting and analyzing on it. Okay. So it's actually only 3 major works. We used to do a lot more, but we concentrate more on poetry and short stories now. Very good question. Any other questions like that? Okay, let's see. So if you notice, if you pull out your little bookmark there, you also have a Google Classroom tab. If you've not already done it, get out your computer or your phone if you know how to do that on your phone right now. If you have the app, join the Google Classroom right now. Okay, everybody do that. I want you to do that before you leave. You got it. Code's on your bookmarker. Okay, easy enough. So summer assignments for this class are due by midnight, Thursday, August 5th. It's not like the day before. Shocker, have a seat. So it's not the end of the summer, it's a couple weeks before school starts. Okay, that gives me time when we'll start. I'll have it all graded and we can hit the ground running. Okay. Okay, so don't forget, but it's all in Google Classroom, so you shouldn't forget. I've got a rubric built in there to grade it, but it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty much a completion grade for the most part. But what you're going to do is the only material, physical material you have is that book, How to Read Literature Like a Professor, and that is exactly what it says it is, and that is it teaches you how to read creative literature in a more analytical way. Okay, and it's actually I think it's pretty interesting and entertaining. Most people say it kind of makes them feel smart, but it's only reading it. Okay, so it's divided into 5 parts, and you have a fairly extensive study guide here. The questions are pretty straightforward. They're just kind of guided notes types of questions. And then we'll kind of go over those with groups presenting pieces of those as we start school. And then also in the book, noted by page numbers, there is a short story called The Garden Party by Catherine Mansfield. And the other part of the assignment is to read that. And then you're going to write a at least 250 word response based on and trying to express the ideas and techniques that he talks about all through the book. Okay, but you just kind of do your best, right? You don't look up a bunch of stuff online about it. It's okay, just be honest. And then you read his analysis after that and what his students have written about it, what he thought about what his students wrote about it. And then you write a reaction to how you wrote about it in contrast to like the rest of the stuff that's pointed out. Okay, so don't try to like jump the shark and, you know, figure out a bunch of stuff by looking online, because nothing is wrong. You just kind of do your best. Okay, and that's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, the book reads pretty fast. But, you know, don't put it off and try to do the whole thing like in a few days or something, because that will be. And obviously, if anybody's come up with kind of identical answers, you know, and it looks like one is copied off the other, then we're going to be having a talk, and we're going to be getting zeros, and there will not be a second chance and things like that. I have all kinds of rules at the end about late work and what's going to happen with that, but I'll just leave it up to you to read that. There are some supplies that I'm asking people to bring, but all that's on the document. Okay. Is there anybody here who is picking up stuff for someone else who's not here? Nobody? Not a single one? I think those people have already told me. Okay. I think that's it. Is there any other questions? Okay, it is great to see a lot of your faces, and looking forward to getting to know the rest of you. So if you need anything else, have any questions, feel free to stop by, but we can communicate on Google Classroom now, so you should be good to go. Yep. I can't hear you, Jackson. Let me get everybody here who has any kind of issue. And did you find your book that has your name on it? Okay. Real questions, Jackson, because I got to deal with people. I don't know. Are you wanting to take it or not? It's up to you. So if you're going to change, then let me know. Yeah, why don't you do that? And then once we figure out where you're really supposed to be, I can give you a book, because we're going to be here the rest of the week, right? So yeah, let's just do that. Doesn't matter to me. And then we find out that you're Did you do any Google Classroom?
Yeah, I did.
So you don't need that little slip. Let me just write down a number for you. 1712. Okay, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Have a nice day.
You too.